Okay. So the comparative method in the historical study of literature. We are going to cover this. So the comparative method, the importance of which is the study of individual author, has already been recognized because becomes of great service when we are dealing with literary historically. But after what I have said, means Hudson said, in discussing the relationship of literature with the life of the race and age, this aspect of our social subject hardly calls for elaboration. No one who passes from the literature of a one nation or epoch to that of another nation or epoch will fail to be struck by the complete change in intelligence and moral atmosphere. Now, as the study of literature here as elsewhere means an effort to define and correlation correlate phenomena which in casual reading we allow to remain vague and unconnected. It will be business of the student as he pursue his inquiries along these wide lines to not carefully and to formulate those fundamental differences. The comparative method in the historical study of literature is a method in which the importance of a study of individual author has already been recognized. We have already discussed in the first chapter that how the comparative method is useful in the study of individual author. So then what happened? Another example is furnished by the interchange of influence during like a century and a half between the literature of French and England, and then between the literature of England and Germany. So they are comparing two different cultures and the literature of two different cultures, and then they come up with the answers. Soon after the middle of the 17th century, a variety of circumstances, political and other, combined to bring English genius under the sway of the genius of French. French. So thus we enter upon the historian of our literature is accustomed to describe as the period of French influence. Yes, English literature is actually grow under the influence of French into the French influence. So until the time of Charles I, English literature is so far its own owed anything to external pattern of modern date has been chiefly dependent upon Italy. So the importance of Italian culture and art as a force in the English literature of the Renaissance is not, it may be said in passing, quite adequately recognized in this sentence. This might have long continued, but the decay of Italian letters consequent about the triumph of foreign oppression and spiritual despotism throughout the peninsula. French stepped into the vacant place ere long. French idea of style had pervaded Europe, and approximately to French moods was the French mood was a let me tell you was the in French mood was the prevailed. So for the sake of brevity, I referred the now what he said here in the underline. For the sake of brevity, I refer the literature of classical antiquity as it is considered a single body of work, similarly in character of the epoch. So what we studied above is that the different writers, different ages, different circumstances, different situations are compared and contrast to find the individual elements and find the individuality. So this is the way of Hudson. This is the way that Hudson guides us to follow, to study the literature as a student or as a learner of literature. We need to study through individual author. So for the sake of brevity, he does the literature of classical antiquity as his constituted a single body of work similar in character of equal importance. To guard against misapprehension, I should add up this is to of course only a conventional and quite uncritical fashion of speech. One of the great mistakes in theory and practice down is comparative recent is the age of Bailou and France, and in the age of Pope in England has been the confusion of the original literature of Greece with the merely derivation and second-hand literature of Rome, and the consequently exaggeration of the claim of the latter. The classical period, so-called, of all modern literature shows the fact result of this error. In such period, the immediate source of inspiration has always been the literature of Rome. Little has been known of literature culture, and that has little has come mainly through the medium of the Latins. Hence, the discovery of the secret of true Hellenism in the second half of the 18th century helped greatly in the hands of such men as Lessing to destroy the tyranny of the pseudo-classicism and to proclaim the gospel of originality against imitation in literary art. So there is a compare and contrast of different ages in the age of from French to the age of Pope in England, and then the Greece literature, and then Rome, and we are come to know that in every qualification of the great mission of human enlightenment, which was to devolve upon Britain in the successful century. Thus, the dominant foreign influence on our literature, though the great part of the 18th century, we certainly French. By this declaration is not all mean that we did nothing but imitate the French classics, though we imitate, that means English people imitate whom English people imitate French classics, and why they translate or in some way reproduce either enough what it means that the indirect direction and tone of our literature were to a large extent imparted by French. So English literature is imparted, and direction, its tone, its writing style, its direction is from French then, and just worked and by the height of the literary glory. Prop work is thoroughly his own and not to be confounded with that of anybody else at home or abroad. But in many respects, that work would have been different, but had not Boileau, for instance, proceeded him. And as elsewhere, we are deeply impressed the influence of Racine, Voltaire, and Rousseau. Here, in the ascendancy of the French influence, we put our finger, and any historian of literature will tell us upon one of the principal causes of the extraordinary transmission which English literature of the last 17th century and earliest 18th century cannot therefore be understood without constant reference to the literature of French. It is telling us that all the literature, many aspects of literature and many epochs of literature of English literature is under the influence of French or France. So by the time we reach the Voltaire and Rousseau has classed as the French writer, we become aware of a fact that touch upon the above quotation, but one of the very great significant for a student of both influence. We now following fast and strong in a reverse direction on from England into France. A period of pronounced Anglomania had begun, and the French mind was now busy absorbing English ideas and speculations on many subjects, on religion, philosophy, society, politics, and even the forms of literature. So now they acquire English knowledge from the different perspective. Voltaire 3 years of exile in England are rightly described by Condorcet of the European importance because it was by the direct contact with English life and thought that this spirit was first awakened to a sense of his mission. So now he has given us the example of Voltaire and Rousseau, and he's telling us about the exile of Voltaire from the French into the England, and Voltaire may be said to have begun from the flight of its founder from Paris to London. This from the decisive argue from which the philosophy of discussion in in a formal shape may be held seriously today. Rousseau and Diderot alike derived from of their philosophy from thinker like Locke, and of their literary inspiration from men as Richardson and Lillo. So, what is the purpose of reading all this material? The purpose of reading all this material is that we used to go directly to the point. We do not read the detail. We need to read the detail. We need to study thoroughly in order to get the complete idea, the whole idea of what actually Hudson wants from us, and how we should study literature, and what are the circumstances out of which this literature has produced, and how the other writers like Rousseau, Voltaire, French, how the French influence comes upon England, and how now England has influenced the French writers. And this is the main purpose of reading all the details. So this is what we have studied about the comparative method of studying literature. By comparing, we come to know the different levels of studying writers. We know the individuality, how the writers, how one writer is different from other, how one century is different from other century, how one phase of a century or epoch is different from the other century, or the other phase of other phase. So this is how this whole process runs. This is how the study of literature should be done. So I will come with the next topic, that is what we will study: the study of literary techniques. We will study the study of literary techniques. Till then, take care.